Hey y'all, today I just wanted to briefly talk about education and the role of your information diet in informing your worldview and what's possible for you. So I really just wanted to not dive too much into the theory of this, but kind of just share my information diet because my goal here is to educate and empower all of y'all to improve your quality of life, both on an individual and societal level. But a big piece of that is, what is my role and where am I getting my information and how that information then it disseminates to inform others. So I just thought it'd be fun to briefly talk about some podcasts, influencers, YouTube, long form type folks that I really have been enjoying these last couple years and getting a lot of useful information out of. And maybe you guys probably all know all of them. These are all kind of major players in the space who have grown a lot in the last couple years. But I thought it'd be fun to share, just to let you all know you can check out the sources yourself, maybe learn a thing or two if you haven't. And it'd also be fun if you all could also share some of your favorites, like thinkers, educators, information sharers, gatherers, and the likes out there. So just to jump right into it, I got a short list. I could go on, but it's really like probably 10, 15 in total, but I'm just gonna keep it short. The one that's kind of been really big for me most recently is this guy, Andre. I don't remember his last name, but he's got a podcast called Know Thyself. I think this is one of the more interesting and informative and kind of original podcasts I've seen of recent, where it's kind of self-help and more like spiritual sense. And I don't mean woo-woo. It's you'll really have to check it out to really make sense of this. But what I think it's a nice evolution in the self-help movement and understanding your own psychology and therapizing yourself to improve, who you are and what's your purpose and how you can kind of get better tapped into yourself. I know this all sounds very vague, but like seriously, check it out. There's a lot of really cool original information and fresh ideas coming out of there from everything from like quantum and like really hardcore science to some of the more interesting newer concepts that have been bubbling up, like law of attraction, consciousness, manifestation, and everything in between. And it all ties to like the idea of love, which is really cool. I really like it. Another person I've seen get pretty big recently, last couple of years, that I've really enjoyed, who's in this kind of outside of the like capitalist everyday like business economics life of it all, so you kind of get like a different perspective from all that, is Master Shihong Yi, who's a Shaolin monk. I think he's based out in Germany, and he's been really awesome about sharing that lineage with people openly and publicly on YouTube. There's a lot of really good information from him on YouTube, both on his own channel and just a lot of other companion channels, getting ideas out about like, again, ideas of a purpose and knowing yourself, and also kind of just stoking that inner resolve and discipline. And I think another aspect of it that I think is really different and fun and interesting is that the body, the physicality of it. He really leans into, body as a form of knowing and getting in touch with your body. So, there's a lot of like exercise and movement that he really tries to instill in you as well, to not just meditate and sit still and think, but to also find knowledge and insight through the physical form that we all exist in. So I've been really enjoying him as well. He's got a lot of really good thought that's both like empowering and positive and a little different. Some other people that I've really enjoyed, another one that's gotten really big recently is kind of a health influencer, Brian Johnson. He's pretty viral at this point because he has very strong branding around like, don't die, and these ideas of like living forever and just like really intense, hardcore versions of health and lifestyle. But he's been really positive for me to see because I used to be very, very similar to him as a teenager. I was really into health. My family wasn't the healthiest. I wasn't in the healthiest environment in the Midwest, and I just really took it seriously and was really intense about it. And a lot of people made fun of me for it. A lot of people thought I was weird. And I always felt a little kind of, I don't know what the right word is, but just being like a kind of a health nut in like the early 2000s, Midwest it felt kind of isolating. And it was difficult. And I also was just trying to navigate it by myself, figure things out as I go, and just trying things out, a lot from intuition or just the best like diet fad. stuff that was out at the time, there wasn't a lot of scientific grounding when it comes to health and testing the body and really getting into the nitty gritty like lab science truth of it all. It's just a lot of like people branding and trying different things and telling you this diet, that diet, and low sugar. I mean, more like low calories at the time. So it's been really, really cool for me to see a guy like Brian Johnson come up, be taken seriously, put a lot of money behind really taking like a scientific approach to health, putting himself out there as being like the lab guinea pig, trying things out, sharing his findings openly, and trying his best to do as much grounded and like lab testing as in science as possible, which has been really, really awesome to see. He's also trying to, put all this like health diet information out there in a way that's low cost, which is also kind of rare in the longevity space. So that's been really empowering and exciting for me to see. And don't let his branding like freak you out. He does say a lot of like just truly valuable, interesting information when it comes to diet, exercise, sleep, health, and just general good stuff for you that improves your life. So I'm kind of going on for a little bit now. I'll just share others, a couple more a little quicker. For business, so I am a small business owner. I have a e-commerce, like a little Amazon business. I have a coffee company, and I'm working on a few other projects that are all kind of like small business from the ground up kind of stuff that I funded and just built myself day over day. And so when it comes to building businesses and thinking about like really how does business work, how do you build, how do you grow, and someone who's taking it like both very seriously but giving you like give it to you straight up, like the real, not just like some fancy like grind from your boots, pull your stuff from bootstraps, just keep pushing type stuff, but like really grounded tactics, strategies, good thinking when it comes to how businesses work, how do you grow them, what it really takes. I think Alex Hormozi is like definitely the top in this category. And it's also fun to analyze him as an influencer because he's also very transparent about how his content strategy plays into the type of business that he's trying to build, this kind of acquisition engine for buying small to medium growing businesses, and then he takes them to like big business and plays that kind of you could say like private equity / venture kind of space. Well, probably closer to private equity. So yeah, if you really want to understand like business in a serious, like raw, detailed sense, Alex is the best I've seen by far. Not to discredit other guys, but he's been really awesome. And then I guess some other folks, Andrew Huberman, I watched him from like literally like the first podcast, and he was kind of revolutionary at the time for us. And he's still very much his own beast because he's a form of also, you could say, like self-help, education, and empowerment when it comes to understanding how the brain works and your own health. And it's extremely grounded in science. And at times it can kind of be like too much for your average person. But one of the things that I've really enjoyed about him is the more you listen to him over time, even if you're not understanding all the really specific like science jargon that he's using, like anatomical terms, once you hear them enough times, they start to stick. And then for me, it's been really satisfying when I actually go back to like anatomy, biology, psychology, like textbooks, like the raw stuff, and then seeing those like real clinical terms that he's using and being like, oh yeah, he talked about that. And you really get to understand like the true science and scientific method and like the role of research papers and meta-analysis and how doing a lot of different types of research and synthesizing and how this all plays into the advancement of academia and like cutting edge science and thinking, and like how theories progress over time and become like closer to truth. So that's really, I think, really fascinating and interesting. If you're just trying to get like raw, like how to improve your health, I don't want to say hacks, but like quicker digestible information, I do think Brian Johnson's a little bit more quick to the point in that sense. But if you really want to get in the details and understand science, academia, and like the really digging into like how is truth created in like school and science and all these senses, Huberman is like top notch for that. Lastly, I'll just close out with a couple kind of more talking head type folks, interview type people who, I'm less into this like interview style podcast for really getting like raw education information. I think you kind of have to sort through a lot of just people, like talking and sharing, and kind of picking it out. And some people are better and quicker at it than others. Like Know Thyself is an interview style podcast, but I think like the raw, new, informative information you get like per minute is like really top notch, and you get a lot of unique stuff out of that particular channel in the interview format. But others I have really enjoyed over the year, and I kind of pick in and jump in and out for different folks, would be obviously Tim Ferriss is the OG of this format. Lex Friedman, who I actually started with him when he was the Artificial Intelligence podcast when I was trying to get into the AI field many years ago. And he rebranded as Lex Friedman. And he talks to a lot of really different interesting people, and he's very just open and honest and wants to learn. So I really appreciate that about Lex's format. And then a little embarrassed to say it, but like Chamath and Crew's All In podcast, it's kind of tech bro-y. They really got deep into like the conservative Trump stuff this last election style season, but I actually do really enjoy them. I mean, I do work or have worked in the technology space, and they talk like finance stuff. I do really think that's interesting, and I think whereas like Alex Bermozy is talking about business from the ground up and going from like zero to, I don't know, like mid-sized company, like Chamath and Crew with All In are you get to see more like the big game, what happens like when talking about companies who are public and playing that business game. They talk about like, like how Starbucks is going to adjust to being perceived as having like too sugar of drinks, and their like new CEO, and you get kind of like these like big business kind of talking points. And these guys are all like serious, like private equity, not quite hedge fund, but like, that style finance guys. And well, I guess mostly their venture, but you know what I'm saying. So you get the other side of talk about business. And one of the things I do think is kind of interesting about them, even though I don't totally agree with all of their politics, is they talk about politics in a way that's trying to be like level and information based. They're looking for like information density. Like they're talking about policies a lot, and like strategies in government, and like how to improve the government. And they really try to get to raw facts and come out with like reasonable solutions. They're solution oriented when it comes to politics. They're not just inflammatory and clickbaity. And so if you're looking for like kind of that old school politics, before it got like super internet hyperbolic, but just like the different sides trying to hash out policies and strategies and why this and why that, and try to come to some sort of logical truth. I think it's been kind of refreshing to hear folks of like their caliber talk about politics and how can we actually, in the raw sense, improve the government and life for folks. So that's just some of many podcasts. I could go into a lot of the guys and each of these like subfields I really like a lot. But those are just some that in the last, I'd say like year, 2, maybe 3, that I've really enjoyed seeing like get some attention and really grow and make a big impact in their various spaces. And I've actually gotten a lot of useful education and information out of that informs my own view and thinking and where I'm going with things. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you check out some of these if you haven't already, or it wasn't totally obvious, because these guys are all pretty big at this point. But yeah, if you have some other folks that you want to share, you think I should check out, you just want to talk about it in the comments, please leave a comment. And yeah, with that, have a good day, and maybe on your next run or drive, check out a new podcast. All right, that's it. Thanks, y'all. Peace.